If you're a bit of a precisely perfect pernickety pants, then you'll want the shapes you make to be spot on, right? Then the corner editing tool is just for you. Pop open your poppet and find the corner editing tool in your tools bag. Use the analog stick and action button to select an object to make faultless with the corner cutting cursor. And if you move it to a corner, then press the action button, like so. You can then move it around with the analog stick. Press the action button to place it. Or, if it still isn't exactly what you were after, i.e. it's a naughty corner, you can make the wretched thing go away by hitting delete. You can even create new corners by moving over any point along the edge and pressing the action button. If you hold down the action button and move the corner cursor, you can select multiple corners at once. Move and delete them in the same way you would a single corner. Well, I think that's corners cornered. What say you? You can take your creations with you if you really don't want to be parted from them. It's easy. Go to your goodies bag and find My Objects. To place something here, select Capture Object, and this rectangular capture box appears. Use the analog stick to maneuver it. If you hold down the L button and use the analog stick, you can change the size to match the object you wish to capture. Press Action to catch it. Gotcha! It's now saved in your My Objects page, so you can use it at a later date. The more macabre amongst you may want to induce a touch of fear, or at least mild peril, into your creations. This can be done by visiting your tools bag and choosing one of the many wicked weapons you think would enhance your creation. Use the analog stick to place it and apply with the action button. Remember though, if you can do this, so can everyone else. So when you see a cute corduroy hamster bounding towards you looking soppy and nice, think again. It can probably breathe fire and has a galvanized flick hammer in its paw. The Unlethalize tool will remove any armaments you add to your creation if you're worried about being sued. When they originally built Big Ben, they made it out of denim because they thought it would look cool. This was, of course, a silly idea because it needed constant ironing, so they had to rebuild it out of stone. In Little Big Planet, a major rebuild isn't necessary because if you want to change the material of one of your constructions, it only takes a couple of moves. Simply select the new material you do want, then select the Material Changer tool, then move it over the shape you want to alter, and press Action. Hey presto! It's now made from something else. Alter as many shapes as you like, and press the back button a few times to return to the Poppet main menu. Groovy. Ordinarily, when you've stuck two objects together, they're just that, stuck together. But there is a way to connect them so they can maintain their ability to move independently. Bolts. There's something wonderfully reassuring about bolts. Nails, screws, or staples just don't evoke the same satisfying peace of mind as bolts, do they? Select two objects you'd like bolted together. Then, in your tools bag, find a bolt and select it. Use the analog stick to position it over the first of the two objects you want to connect. The action button bolts it in. Now we need that pop-it cursor thingamajig. So press back twice to get back to the pop-it main menu. Select the pop-it cursor and use the analog stick to position the now bolted object in front of whatever it is you're bolting it onto. A quick press of the action button bolts object 1 to object 2 quicker than you can say light engineering suddenly seems sexy. You can adjust the tightness of the bolt via the tweak menu. And there you go. You've taken your first wobbly steps to becoming a fully qualified boltmeister. You may want your creations to move about independently. Trust me, your fellow Little Big Planetians will find this endearingly cute. Or it'll scare the breakfast out of them. Either way, you can introduce motion by adding motor bolts. You simply place a motor bolt just like any other bolt. In the tweak menu, if you turn the tightness up, the effect is more powerful, and the moving objects are less likely to slip. Make sure this matches the speed level so it's not battling against the laws of physics. Direction adjusts whether it goes clockwise or anti-clockwise. Sorted, Gov. Ask an engineer in real life if he'd like a couple of wobble bolts to make his creation quiver humorously, and he'll probably look at you as if you've just thrown a rat at his wife. But this is Little Big Planet, and here wobble bolts are just the thing to make your creations quiver and quake back and forth for added comic effect. Place a wobble bolt like you would any other bolt. Then you have a vast array of tweak options to play with. Rotation adjusts how far it rotates. Angle changes the angle the motion is relative to. Tightness, just like other bolts, affects strength. The tighter the wobble bolt is, the harder it is to slip. So be mindful of this when adjusting the speed. Pause allows back and forth motion to occasionally pause, if you want it to. Sync controls the timing if you have other moving objects in your scene and you want to synchronize them. Lots for you to fiddle around with there, what say you? You'll get the hang of it. Contrary to how it may sound, a sprung bolt isn't a bad-tempered, highly agitated bolt that's prone to hissy fits and tantrums. No, it's a bolt that allows some horizontal wobble, if you like, between two objects you've joined together. It's a radical new way of doing things, but don't knock it until you've tried it. Select two objects that need bolting together. Use the pop-it cursor to move them into position. Then, from your tools bag, get your sprung bolt. Press Action to run it through both bits at once. Remember to hold down Action to get to the tweak menu, because how tightly you bolt in a sprung bolt determines the level of springiness, or boingicity, if you want to get all technical about it. You can also alter the resting angle so it springs back to the position you want it in. If anyone ever says to you, "Well, how long is a piece of string?" pull one out of your pocket and say, 7 inches, and here's one to prove it. In Little Big Planet, the sacred rules of string are not what you'd expect. Get two objects you want to connect with string. In your tools bag, select String. Position the string over the edge of one of your objects. Press Action to attach it. Position the other end of the string over the other object and press Action again. And there you have your string duet. both objects are connected. The tweak menu allows you to alter the length of your string too. Remember, string can bunch up and become shorter, but it doesn't have the elasticity to get longer. Ensure your string remains a yes indeed, never a afraid not. Rods are another wonderful weapon in the little big planet arsenal that we can use in the war against boring creations. By attaching two previously stationary objects with a rod, they can become one moving component. Dig one out of your tools bag and have a gander. Attach a rod at both ends like you did for string, then you can tweak its length. Once you've set the length, the rod is fixed at that length. Your contraptions now have more moving parts than a barrel full of limbo dancers. To make your creations run with the optimum flexibility, you need to get drastic with elastic, or as some SAC people call it, Super String Plus, because it has the same usefulness as string, but so much more. Let's investigate elastic, shall we? Find some in your tools bag, and place it like you place rods, springs, or strings. By keeping the action button down, go straight to your elastic tweaks. Length determines how much of it you want to use. Strength establishes the elasticity, which by any stretch of the imagination is pretty useful. By far the most sturdy and visually satisfying of all the connective devices has to be the piston. Pistons are kept in your tools bag. The piston is the singular most important invention since the left-handed hammer. Place a piston like all the other connector objects by attaching both ends. Hold onto your action button to get the tweak menu up. You'll find all the usual tweaks here. Strength adds power to the mechanism. Stiffness controls how erect your piston is. Now, stop it. Rather wonderful connecting devices are winches. Select winch from your tools bag and you'll see precisely how wonderful. You connect it just like string, rods, elastic, blah, 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 but it's the tweak feature that'll really blow your mind. Look at all the stuff you have to play with. Maximum and minimum are your winch length parameters. Remember though, like string, winches can bunch up and become shorter, but never longer. The strength setting determines how much your winch can lift. The speed adjuster affects how quickly it goes from being fully extended to being fully reeled in. Pause is how long it waits at each end. And sync sets its timing to be in or out of sync with the other animated artworks you've installed in your loopily locomotive landscape. A happy SAC person always has a spring in his or her step. An even happier one has a spring in their creations. Springs are wibbly-wobbly wonderful for making your contraptions do bingy-boingy stuff. Get a spring from the tools bag and connect it like rods and string. The tweaks for springs are length and strength. Strength allows you to alter the power of the coil. Keep it tight for slight bingy-boinginess and loose for extreme wibbly-wobbliness. You'll soon learn all these technical terms. Little Big Planet is all about sharing, and the best way you share information is often to shout it from the rooftops, or out of a magic mouth at least. The magic mouth icon is in the tools bag. Select it as you would anything else, and decide where you'd like to put your magic mouth. Move it into position with the analog stick. If you hold down the L button, you can change the size and rotation of your enchanted orifice with the analog stick too. Bring up the Tweak menu to add some speech. The text can be directions, instructions, encouragement, whatever you like. Keep it nice, though. We don't allow potty mouths in Little Big Planet. You can also add some vaguely amusing gibbering sounds from the speech page, which will play as the text appears. The trigger radius decides how close to the magic mouth another player has to be before the speech appears. So there you go. You can now pass on your pearls of wisdom to your fellow sack people. We now come to our very special creature feature. This is your creature kit, consisting of various body parts and organs that can be added to your creations to give them life. A very useful facility bordering on the horrific, but useful all the same. To add a creature bit from your creature kit, first pick something you want to bring to life. Then go to the Gadgets page in your Tools bag. Just look at all the body parts on offer. It's like a second-hand shop. Select something, a creature leg or creature wheel, for example. Then press the Action button to place it. Press back and find some magic eyes. They're fun. Add as many as you like. Now you need a creature brain, as this will add intelligence to your creation so it can navigate and react. There are two types of grey mash on offer, a protected brain and an unprotected brain. If you go for unprotected, rival sackfolk can relieve your creation of its think tank, rendering it brainless. And whilst that doesn't stop most people back on planet Earth, here in Little Big Planet, it's disastrous. A protected brain cannot be stolen, so that's the main difference. Both brain types, however, have similar tweaks that are rather fun. Setting the behavior to follow makes your creature walk towards a sack person. That's harmless enough in a terrifying way, I suppose. Flee behavior makes the creature run away from sack people. Set behavior to ignore, and your creature will just plod on, minding its own business and not bothering anyone, rather like a dinosaur in a shopping mall wouldn't. Awareness radius sets how close you have to be before the creature is aware of you. Vulnerability lets you decide if your creature should steer clear of dangerous materials, like gas or fire. However, if you fashion your creation out of a dangerous material, it is totally impervious to that material. You can also tweak a brain to alter your creature's speed and its ability to jump, if you want it to jump, that is. There's lots to play with in this body part boutique, so go on, create. Interactivity, to we little big Planetian sack personages, is essential. It's the spring in our step, the glint in our eyes, the food in our tum-tums. Indeed, we can't even eat a sandwich unless it's equipped with whistles, bells, and switches to remove the crusts. So always add lovely interactive devices to your creations, such as buttons. Choose something to connect a button to, for example, an object you've put a motor bolt on. Dive into your tools bag, select a button, pop it down where you think it'll be most accessible, then get ready with the Pop It cursor. See the connector tab sticking out of the button? Grab it by tapping the Action button. Take it over to the object you want to control and press Action. The button Tweak menu has everything you need for setting what the bally thing actually does. On and off should be obvious, but if you do need to look them up in the dictionary, please do. But be warned, for both words, the entry just says, "Oh, come on, you're being silly now." Direction makes the object change course with each push of the button. One shot will make your object run just once, or if it's an emitter, emit just one item. And last of all, invert makes your object do just the opposite of what it was doing each time you press the button. Now, it does all sound incredibly complex, but it isn't really. Unless you're still thumbing through the dictionary looking for the meaning of on and off, then you might need help. The little big planet atmosphere is pure imagination charged with electrifying excitement, and it's our duty to keep the charge levels sky high. This can be done by adding sensor switches to our creations, so our fellow sack persons can get a jolly old shock when they accidentally trip one and zap your creation into life. Placing a sensor switch is exactly like placing any other switch. Once you've got your connector tab connected to your object, you can access the Tweak menu. All the usual suspects are here: on and off, direction, and one shot. Speed, however, means the speed of the object is determined by how close you are to the sensor switch. The closer, the faster. The trigger radius setting affects how far away you can be before the sensor detects you. Remember, electrifying excitement. We can't get enough of it. Magnetic key switches. Phew! What can you say about magnetic key switches? You could start by telling us how to use them, I hear you cry. Okay, keep your follicles in your epidermis. A magnetic switch needs a magnetic key to activate it. First, place the magnetic switch, it's on your Gadgets page, and connect up the Connector tab. In the Tweak menu, there's all the usual switchcraft, but you'll also notice the Trigger Radius facility. The trigger radius determines how close the key must be for it to activate the switch. And color sets what color of magnetic key will activate the magnetic switch. When you've tweaked the magnetic key switch, don't forget to add a magnetic key to the scene. Attach a magnetic key to something you can move. When you tweak the key, you can set its color, and it's a good idea to make it the same color as the switch. That way, when you put your magnetic key to the same colored magnetic key switch, it works, as if by magic. How groovy is that? Sticker switches are activated when a matching sticker is stuck nearby. Get a sticker switch from your tools bag, and I'll explain. You use a sticker switch. Connect it up. And tweak it till you're happy. The item setting is quite important because if you choose a particular sticker, the switch only responds if that particular one is nearby. Otherwise, any old sticker will set it off and total anarchy will reign supreme. But maybe that's what you want. With an emitter, you can make objects appear and disappear as if by magic. Find emitters in your tools bag. Attach the emitter to an object just like you attach a sticker. You've got to program it to make it work, so open up the tweak menu. The object setting allows you to select what you want to appear, and more importantly, where you want it to appear. You control the speed and spin at which the object is spat out with the linear and angular velocity settings. Choose frequency to set how often you want it to emit something. Lifetime lets you specify how long your emitted object will live for before it vanishes forever. Max emitted allows you to specify a finite number of objects. All makes sense? Plenty of fun to be had here then, eh? As you know, in Little Big Planet you can literally reach for the sky and it's yours. And what better way than with rockets? You'll find rockets on your Gadgets page. Select, position a rocket just like you would any other object. And when you do, hold down the Action button to get to your Tweaks menu. First thing you might want to sort is the zoom factor of your rocket's propulsion. The boost determines the speed and power of the launch. You'll notice the on and off provision too. If it's on, it'll blast off the moment you close your poppet. So instead, with it off, attach a switch to launch it when you're at a safe distance. Rock and roll, baby! By connecting switches, two-way, three-way, sensor switches, etc., to your creations, you can make them bound into life whenever the switch is triggered. Let's kick off with a two-way switch. Place it just like you would anything else, and connect it just like you would connect a button. That means pulling the old connector tab out and connecting it to your object. A switch's tweak menu is an Aladdin's cave of jiggery-pokery. Just look at the gear up for grabs here. You've got your on and offs, direction to alter which way you want something to go, and one shot. Then there's the speed behavior, which allows you to control how fast your creation moves. Have a good old rummage around. Remember, in play mode, a sack person must grab a two-way switch, or get another object to nudge it to operate it. Worth bearing in mind when you're fitting a switch. Good stuff. If you are itching for a switching, try a three-way switch. They really are the business end of a blooming good idea and no mistake. Place a three-way switch like you would anything else. Select it from the Gadgets page in the Tools bag, then position it and connect. And Tweak has all the usual switchy tweaks. Three-way switches are fantastic to a degree that's one higher than two-way switches. And you can call me Richie Wrong Trousers if it isn't so. Grab switches are the bee's knees when it comes to interactivity. They're the cat's whiskers. They're the chimpanzee's collection of novelty pencil erasers. Grab switches are triggered when a sack person grabs the thing it's attached to. Get a grab switch from the tools bag and stick it onto something you might like someone to grab hold of. No, nothing rude. And just like all the other switches, the tweak menu has all the settings you could shake a stick at. Have a play about with grab switches, because they put the fun into auto-functional predetermined switch mechanism. Little Big Planet is all about positive attitudes, and that includes encouraging one another. You can give points away in the levels you create via score bubbles. Your visitors can amass impressive scores and go away with a feeling of enormous well-being. Just look in your tools bag. On the Gameplay Kits page, you'll find the score bubble icon. Select it like you would anything else with the faithful old action button. Then place it. Encourage, encourage, encourage. The 3 E's. You wouldn't organize a party in a locked room with everybody else on the outside, would you? When you've created a wonderful new level, you're going to want your fellow SAC persons to come and visit it, aren't you? The first order of things is a door. Blank levels come ready-fitted with an entrance which can be relocated to wherever you want by using your poppet cursor. If you've deleted your entrance, or it's somewhere down the back of the sofa along with the TV remote, several coins and that friend you haven't seen in weeks, you can get one from the Gameplay Kits in your tools bag. Place it like you would any other object. And to test your entrance, switch to play mode and step on through. Ah, there you are. Success. Little Big Planet, it opens doors for people. Think about it. You've just scaled a burning wicker man, outrun a giant cloth ant, and reassembled half a castle. You're feeling good, yes? Then you get stuck or fried. It's going to be a complete pain in the sack bottom going all the way to the beginning of that level, isn't it? That's why we have the Little Big Planet checkpoints. Checkpoints let you resume a level from part of the way through, so it's good to add a few to your scenes. Find a checkpoint in your tools bag. Position it like you would anything else, and place it with the action button. It's a good idea to check your checkpoints in play mode, because they're not much cop if you step out of one straight into the jaws of a dreadful bitey, burny, bashy thing and get instantly wasted again. Heck, you'd be there all day. Did you know you can even install scoreboards in your level? Honestly. This'll allow your guests to see how they've done in all the puzzles and tasks you've set for them. And it's a great way for you to gauge whether you've made them far too easy-peasy sackboy squeezy or just too ballywell hard. They also act as an exit at the end of the level, too. So open Poppet and select the tools bag. See the scoreboard icon? Yes, that's the fella. You can then position and place the scoreboard like you would any other object. Incidentally, most things have a tweak menu so you can hone exactly how they operate. Useful thing, a tweak menu. Why not add some prizes, too? You can offer 3 for each medal. Move over the empty dotted circle and press the action button. Then select the prize you want to offer. You can test your scoreboards and prizes in play mode to ensure they do what they say on the tin. Hit Start and select Change to Play Mode. Lovely stuff. We little Big Planet sack personages are a generous bunch. We love leaving presents for one another inside prize bubbles. To join in this communal free-for-all scenario, go to your tools bag, where you'll see the prize bubble icon. Drop one into your scene as you would anything else. And remember, hold down the Action button to go straight into the Tweak menu. Use the Item setting to choose which present goes inside it. The Shareable setting decides how the present is given. For example, shareable means whomever picks it up can also give it to other people. Not shareable means it's just for the person who collects it. They can't pass it on. Remember, passing on something once you're done with it is a wonderful and generous thing to do. Unless it's the flu, of course. By placing camera zones in your scene, you can control the zoom level and angles your scene is viewed from. This is your chance to act like a big-shot Hollywood director, so lots of puffed-up, self-important shouting whilst you're doing this, okay? Camera zones are found in your tools bag. Stick one to an object, just like you would a sticker. In the Tweak menu, you can alter the angle and zoom settings until you're happy with the shot. Use your analog stick to move in all directions. But if you hold down the L button, the analog stick will adjust the angle, or instead, if you hold down the R button, you can change the camera's zoom. If you're the type of person who enjoys watching buildings being demolished, then we have the very thing for you. Shock bombs. You'll find shock bombs in your tools bag. There's two types. Impact shock bombs are highly volatile and go off if someone or something bumps into them. Be careful with them, or you may lose more than your eyebrows. There are also trigger shock bombs that can be detonated with a switch. Placing either shock bomb is exactly the same as placing anything else, except you have to run away a lot faster. Some people like to plod around Little Big Planet, taking in the scenery and soaking up the creative atmos. Others like to rush around like blue-bottomed flies. If you fall into the latter category, then we have just the thing for you. A race kit, which is just the thing for a race against the clock. In your tools bag, you'll find a start gate. This, unsurprisingly, is where any race will begin. Position the start gate with the analog stick. Change its rotation by holding down the L button and pushing the analog stick left or right. Then place it into your scene with the Action button. A race needs a finishing line, otherwise the contestants will just keep on going and you might never see them again. And we don't want that. Select the Finish Gate icon from your tools bag and place it like you did the Start Gate. Right. Let's set up the time allowed for the race. Using your Pop-It cursor, bring up the Tweak menu for the Start Gate. If you want to, you can make it face back to front by selecting Flip. Set the time you want the race to run for. Is it going to be a short, sharp, sprinty type of thing? Or one of those long, drawn-out affairs where people are neither running nor walking? They're mincing. It's up to you. You're the one with a starter pistol. If music be the food of love, then the tunes in Little Big Planet are a 3-course meal with a cheeseboard sweet trolley and lashings of free coffee. And you can add music to your levels too. Keep popping the prize bubbles as you're gadding about, because in some of them are music objects. Adding music, or laying down the vibes, as some of the younger sack persons say, couldn't be easier. Open your poppet and select the tools bag icon. Place them as you would, say, a sticker. First, though, find somewhere you want to make audibly pleasing. Press the action button, and you've just had your first hit, kid. You can fine-tune your music with the poppet cursor. Move it over the object, then press the menu button to bring up the Music Tweak menu. You then use the analog stick or the directional buttons to choose and change a setting. So, what have we got then? The volume slider adjusts how loud your music plays. Not too loud, though. Your woofers and tweeters might explode. That's your dogs and budgies, so be careful. You can tweak which part of the music it starts playing from. The trigger radius determines how close you have to be to it before it starts playing. This game just gets better and better, doesn't it? Sound effects, or if you're incredibly cool, SFX, are audible responses you can add to your creations to make them come to life and raise a smile or two. A toot, a buzz, a whistle and a ding makes your creation a happier thing. Open your tools bag and choose one of the sound objects you've collected and attach it to something, just like you would anything else. Remember to hold down Action to go straight to the Tweak menu. Plenty to fiddle around with in here, just look. Trigger mode determines whether the sound plays when something hits it or gets near it. And the supersonic modifier is like a graphic equalizer that's been designed by Salvador Dali and a crack team of circus clowns. Go on, tinker, explore, create. Sound has a barrier, and barriers are meant to be broken. Now, we're all a little slapdash and clumsy when we're rushed, aren't we? Who hasn't made an egg sandwich without taking the... Well, now it's official. You are a creator. Publishing your first level on the Little Big Planet community moon is a big thing for sack persons. It's like your first kiss, or your first fridge-mounted painting. It's okie dokie. You're back in story mode. And a wise place to be if you want to carry on collecting building material and other goodies from the bountiful Little Big Planet environment. It pays to think ahead. I like your style, young sack person.